Sound check, check it, check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield, Ryan Beckman, and Chris Goss.
And Ryan Beckman, Chris Goss. They're not here. Just me, Corey Winfield. And this is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Tonight, I'm actually downstate staying with family. Tomorrow, my little brother, my younger brother, let's just call him, and his wife are doing a gender reveal for their baby. And we're pretty excited about that. And since I only live 3.5 hours away, it's something that I thought, hey, I'm in recovery, I'm not drunk, I can make the trip. So, pretty excited about that. It's one of the luxuries that I have in my sobriety is to be able to make trips like that and to have family that supports me and trusts me to stay at their house. And I went to an AA meeting, one of the meetings that I used to go to all the time here in Coloma, and I saw some familiar faces, and one of the guys in the meeting said, you know, this is like a family thing. You know, we're maybe not friends, but we're family. You know, like, I don't really talk to, there's a couple of guys I do talk to, but for the most part, I don't talk to a lot of those people. But yet when I see them, I haven't seen them in, I don't know, I think I got my 3-month coin. I don't remember, but it's been a while. I just put it that way. But yeah, it's like we haven't missed a beat, you know. They're going strong in their recovery and their sobriety, and so am I. So we have that in common, and I don't know if that's the factor that makes it feel so much like a family atmosphere. I don't know. But it's great. It's a great feeling, you know, to walk into a place, and they say, you know, with AA meetings, you can go, doesn't matter what city you're in, you can go to one and feel welcome. And that is true for the most part. I know a lot of people who would rather choose NA meetings. They say it varies, you know, if they start talking about, you know, their using days or, you know, being an addict as opposed to an alcoholic. They say that sometimes it can rub people the wrong way, and you know, those are just meetings. You just have to kind of tune the people that aren't feeling it out, because AA meetings are a lot easier to find than NA meetings, you know, especially if you're not in a big city. So, you know, but most of the time, from my experience, the people at AA do accept pretty much anybody. You know, there's a meeting in Buchanan, Michigan that, you know, I think it was like Thursday nights. The guy was kind of one of those, they call them the old school or the old timers, where he was like, this is an alcoholics meeting, and if you're using drugs, then this isn't your meeting. And that didn't make the other people of the Buchanan Club very happy. And they're like, man, we overeaters, if you're a gambler, it doesn't matter. If you have an addiction, this is for you, you know. And that's the kind of approach I take to it. I take as well, you know, to it. It's an addiction problem, really, my opinion. But yeah, so downstate with the family, excited about tomorrow. Ryan was supposed to do a podcast tonight. I'm not sure what happened with Chris, but I know Ryan grabbed a newbie to recovery. His name's Dustin. I guess they did one. I can kind of see where he was going to post it, but he hasn't yet. So I'm thinking maybe he's editing it. I don't know what else he would be doing. So maybe you're going to get like a double episode tonight, which would be very cool. And I appreciate Ryan stepping up and taking they say, ball by the horns for that one. And I really appreciate that, Ryan.
We get actually soft to get hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. You're not here with me, though. But Dustin, I know, the newbie, he is, and I mean, he's going to be on the podcast, so I don't think that he would mind me saying this about him, but not Ryan, but Dustin is fresh in recovery. I just came out of a treatment center where he did 90 days, and now he has made the leap to sober living, which to me is huge. Whether he started off going to sober living for the right reasons, or whether he was trying to hook up with a chick or just trying to stay in contact, I have no idea. But however it happened, he is there in a sober living house, and I think that's a huge step for someone in early recovery. That's, I think, what I was missing. I went to treatment, and when I say treatment, I don't mean like 15 different rehabs, but I mean there was like a few mental places and dual diagnosis places, but 15 times. And the 15th is the last time that I went. And that's when I threw my hands up and said, I give up. I can never drink again. Like, I was absolutely 100% honest with myself this time, with the fact that I can't drink again. You know, I would always hold a little piece of that in the back of my mind somewhere, and I knew it was there. I would shake my head, and when doctors or family members or whatever would say, you can never drink again, I'm like, yeah, I know, I can never drink again. But I think there was that little piece that was always back there thinking that, yeah, I can. But when I came to terms with it and finally accepted, no, I can't drink again, like for real, when I surrendered, some would say, that is when the real changes started to happen for me. And to go to the last treatment and, you know, say, hey, I'll stay 90 days was a huge step for me, because before, give me a week, 2 weeks maybe, and I'm itching to get out of there, man. I got to get back to life. You know, while you're in there, life's still going on out there. So I just wanted back at it, and yeah, I learned some new things, and this is why. And I always had the feeling that I just learned something new, and it was the greatest. Oh, that's what I've been missing this whole time, was, I'm drinking because my feelings. Like, that was like almost to the end of it, you know, like maybe the 13th or 14th time, you know, maybe 13th. And I was like, oh, it's my feelings. That's why I'm drinking. It's not because I like alcohol. The alcohol doesn't make me drink it. You know, it was the feelings and stuff like that. But it is the feelings. It's the emotional uncomfortableness. It's the stress, I would call it. Just uncomfortableness. You know, when I don't want to feel uncomfortable, that's what I knew what to do, would drink. And I would get into that state of blah, you could call it, like it wasn't fun. It wasn't because I wanted to party. It was just blah. Like, I didn't have to experience life anymore. I didn't have to worry about anything, even though a lot of times, you know, things were going so bad that, you know, I didn't have food, or, you know, I barely had enough gas to get anywhere, but I would still run out and get that alcohol because I wanted to get that blah. And then I wouldn't care about having gas. I wouldn't care about having food. I'd make up the dumbest dishes, and it was bad, but I didn't care because I was blah'd out. And I'd wake up the next day and I would just think, man, what did I just do? And, you know, the shaking starts. And I don't know if I told this or not, but Tyrone, who was an awesome dude.
Man.
That's Tyrone. He's from Detroit. And he had no idea alcohol was so powerful and takes over physically. And he watched Leaving Las Vegas with Nicolas Cage. And he said he watched it twice. He said he watched it the first time, and I just couldn't believe it. And he came up to me and he's like, that alcohol is a bad MFer. I was like, yeah, I know. He was like, man, shit. He was like, the drugs that he was doing, he was like, I'm glad it never did that to me. He's like, you know, I moved up here, up north, to get away from that stuff, and so far it's working great for him. You know, he doesn't see his drug of choice on the streets up here. or up there in Boyne City, Petoskey, whatever, and that's huge for him. You know, it didn't have that physical toll that alcohol took, but when he saw Nicolas Cage, you know, like shaking and just sick and just dying, he was pretty shocked, and he had no idea that alcohol was that powerful, and you know, it kind of helped him understand a little bit too about, you know, addiction and how dangerous it really is. You know, a lot of things are dangerous. You know, I tell you, like, gambling is dangerous, and I once had a person tell me that, you know, well, my addiction's not going to kill me, not like alcohol is going to kill you. Yeah, I don't know about that. You know, it's still a form of misery. You know, you're losing money. You need money to live. You're flushing money down the toilet. As I would go buy a bottle, you know, some people are putting it into a machine. You know, you're losing out on life. You know, instead of being with family and friends, you're drawn to the casino, and the same triggers in the brain from drinking or from using drugs. That's the same thing that's going on in the brain of somebody who gets that gambling addiction, and it's real. And a lot of times when it gets so bad, you know, just like somebody who uses drugs, you get to a point where you don't know what to do anymore. Some people are afraid to ask for help. I know I was. I knew there was something going on that wasn't good. When the shaking was, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. I felt shamed. I thought, it can't happen to me. You know, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not. And then once I would get in that blah mode, it wouldn't matter, you know, and it was hell. I would go to work a little bit. I'm sure I was still buzzed, and the shaking, you know, we used to start about 3:00 in the afternoon, but then it started at 2 and then noon, and it was just bad. And like I said, I didn't know what to do, but I just had to stop the shaking. That was like, when can I get out of work? When can I hit the store? Or when can I get out of work and go home and get more to stop the shaking? And it would take me a whole fifth, just to stop the shaking, to feel like I would equate it to a normal. Like, my body is not going through the withdrawal stages, pretty much. You know, it's, whew. I just remember I would sigh, and it's so good not to have to feel that. I'm telling you, if you're listening for the first time, or if this is something you can relate to, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're in early recovery, you know, or maybe you're thinking about it, maybe a friend or family member told you, hey, listen to the 217 Recovery Podcast. These guys have fun. Well, this isn't one of those fun episodes, I don't think, but maybe it is. I don't know. I like to talk, so I'm having fun, and it really helps me. But yeah, if this is like a first time listening, and, you know, maybe, like I said, someone told you to listen, and you can get help, man. There are so many options out there, and you don't have to feel ashamed. You don't have to feel alone, because you're definitely not alone. There are millions of people just in this country alone that struggle with addiction, and whether it be meth, weed even, and people laugh, oh, that's not addiction. Yeah, it is. Run out of weed and see what happens. No, you have withdrawals from that, man. I would rather personally see people smoke weed than drink, but again, it's a slippery slope. And if you're using one drug or have a problem with one drug, I recommend staying away from all of them. Because for me, I tried to dabble in weed, because I used to smoke weed when I was a kid, you know, not kid, but, you know, young, 18. And I tried that again, and it wasn't what I was looking for. You know, there was a reason why I stopped smoking weed, is because I liked to drink at that point, and that was my choice. I would rather drink than do weed. And so when I would smoke weed thinking it would replace it, because my whole thing was, well, I don't like smoking weed and drinking.